Hello. We are doing... First off, we are wrestling marks, obviously.
Whatever.
Yeah, that's...
I don't have my wrestling shirt.
That's all right. I am wearing a Kenny shirt, and I will talk about that in a little bit later in our show. But I am the loose cannon. You can't touch me, Mr. Booker Man. And this is...
Sam Keola. I'm the wrestling connoisseur.
And so this is our attempt at getting some sort of Hawaii wrestling opinion started. So we're going to talk specifically today about No Mercy and the Raw afterwards. Now, Sam's going to take a little bit more charge of the Raw afterwards. I'm be doing a lot of the stuff as far as No Mercy. So we're going to start off the first match, which ironically I didn't get a chance to see because my network didn't show up, like the pre-show didn't show up on that. So we'll see what's going on. But the first match of the night was Elias Sampson versus Apollo Crews. I'm a really big fan of Apollo Crews.
I'm a fan of Elias too.
I mean, I wish they had handled... I wish they handled his character better because the whole musical thing is not working at all.
Oh, it is.
I mean, it is now, but I mean,
It was a slow start.
Yeah.
But
it took a while for people to come around to it, and I think in the interim where people were just like, oh my god, what the hell is this? It really sort of put him in a position where he was like in a very nebulous space for a while.
I think it's great though, because for a change, there is an organic build. I didn't know what the hell he was doing in NXT.
That's true. That's very true.
When he first started showing up, walking in the back of interviews, strumming his guitar, I had no idea what the hell they were going to do to him. It's like, okay, is this like just some really bad honky-tonk man?
Yeah.
But, he kind of has come into his own, and
it's astonishing that it happened more on the main roster than it did in NXT. NXT crowds were not buying it at all.
Yeah.
They're like every match he had, they were drowned out by drift away, drift away. Nobody got behind him.
It's great for a heel anyway.
I know, but I mean,
any heat you can get.
I was really surprised that it worked way better on the main roster than it ever did in NXT. It's usually the opposite.
But he's been showing a lot of great athleticism, especially in the six-man match the other week.
I think he's gotten a lot more of a chance to prove himself as far as a wrestler on the main roster because there was a lot more time for him to actually
his finisher,
get there.
Which we've seen so many other wrestlers use, like Perry Saturn. I don't know, it's always been jobbers have used this finisher. He hits it so much better than anyone. More like almost like a fisherman neck breaker.
There's a lot
slam.
There's a lot more like venom in it.
So the
which
Apollo
works for the
Crews
heel.
match, it was a fair match. It wasn't really long, but great athleticism by both men.
Oh, of course.
The match made sense, and yeah, that was the pre-show, and it was probably the best match of the night.
I've said this so many times. Any man that can hit a gorilla press and into a standing moonsault deserves our respect, and I really wish they would do more with Apollo Crews because he's so athletic and he has such a natural face-like charisma.
Yeah.
And I feel like him hooking up with Titus Worldwide is hysterical, and it's working now.
I love it, but they should be tag teaming.
Yeah, there's so much more potential there that's not being explored. I feel
even with the whole unit of a Titus Worldwide. I think having Titus and Apollo tag team, they would complement each other. Apollo is extremely athletic, and Titus has charisma somewhat.
And
he has a presence in the ring. He's not the most
also
athletic,
really been built over his time in the WWE as his powerhouse.
Yeah, as a powerhouse and a tag team wrestler.
Yeah, so I think it would have benefited both of them a lot, especially because Apollo is in such a his career is in such a state right now that they don't really know what to do with him. So have him in a they don't. So if they have him in a tag team,
they don't know what to do with anybody.
Have them build up Titus and Apollo Crews.
Yeah.
Have them maybe even have a run as tag team champions.
Why not?
Have them run as tag team champions. Have Tozawa run as Cruiserweight, and then have that be this is the success story of Titus Worldwide, and then that's how they bring in other people like Ricochet. That would be cool.
That would be cool. Or bringing people up from NXT and just tossing them in. Yeah.
That would
Not
be
that-
it would be a great potential for a memorable stable instead of what they
Even-
have it as a joke stable.
Even someone like Jason Jordan.
Oh, you mean
Tossing
Jason
him in.
Angle?
Yes. Jason Jordan
Angle.
Angle. Yeah, so anyway, the pre-show match, good. And
The highlight.
yeah, kind of the highlight. Got the best out of the way, I think. It really went downhill from there.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, oh, this is good so far. And then what was the first match?
The first match was the IC match. So it was the Intercontinental Champion, The Miz, versus Jason Jordan. The Miz, I have to say, I love his work as IC champion. Mm-hmm. I've never really been that behind The Miz as far as his whole career goes. I've never really been a fan of the Awesome One, as he likes to call himself. But he treats the Intercontinental belt like it's the most important belt to him.
Yeah.
And, like, he doesn't even talk about the other titles he's held because the IC belt is his belt. Mm-hmm. And I respect that a whole lot because for a long time,
did the same thing in between.
people treated the belt like, oh, it's just a mid-card belt. It's not the belt that you want forever. It's the belt you want for now. Right. So the work that he's done as IC champ, I think, is really good. And I'm, in some ways, glad that he retained. Yeah. In what was more or less a clean win. Like... It wasn't as,
it wasn't a clean win.
It wasn't totally clean, but it was like a lot less dirty than Enzo's win.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And a lot less dirty than the wins we've seen him have in the past.
Right. I mean, we've come to expect it with Miz in his heel run, is that, you know, he's just doing the job, and it's kind of bad that we know it's going to happen. I think that's why they put Bo and Curtis Axel with him.
Which I love.
I love the group.
I was hoping one of them was going to win the six-pack challenge because both of them cut such great promos, like teasing what kind of match they would have with Miz. It was so good. Like, that would have been, I think, a bigger draw of a match. But I don't think they want to break up Miz Taraj yet, which I understand.
Well...
And they want to try and push Jason Jordan, who I love.
Jason Jordan push.
I love Jason Jordan.
I think
Jason Jordan is bae.
He's great
Don't
in the
even
ring.
care. But it's not... the most
he needs a good heel
efficient
run.
or successful. Yeah. Well, I mean, I heard
it's not believable.
They want to do that. They want to in the long term have a reveal where he was like, "I'm not really your son. I just said that so you'd give me opportunities." Ha 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 ha.
Because his real father is Shelton Benjamin. They should have done that from the start.
That's why he's the one tagging with Chad Gable now.
Okay, I just want to interject this. So the way they should have done it. And we probably should do this a different show, but anyway.
That's okay. It's the first time.
Shelton Benjamin, they bring him in to team with Chad Gable. Gable should have been Kurt Angle's son. I think that he should be Kurt Angle's son anyway. Like, it should be revealed that Jordan's like, I'm not your son, blah, blah, blah. My real daddy is Shelton Benjamin.
But I do know who your son is.
Right, and then so eventually they reveal that Gable is actually Angle's son.
That plot line would get so convoluted.
No, it would be awesome.
It would be great, but I don't think people would follow it.
Well, they're not invested at all now.
It's
at least
true.
then, like, you know, the drama would at least help. Because, you know, controversy creates cash.
That's true. That's what Vince always said. Right?
Bischoff.
Well, Vince too.
Anyway, yeah, it was a decent match. I liked it. It was a great follow up from Elias and Apollo, which was the best match on the card. I
mean, it was probably
I really most. Was wondering if they wouldn't drop the title right there, though.
I figured they wouldn't,
because they really built Jordan up. They really tried to build Jordan up by putting him against Cena and Reigns for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, to have him be like, they respect Jason Jordan because he's a solid competitor, and also to build heat between Cena and Reigns,
right?
Which we'll get to a little bit later.
And I mean, Angle's build when he first started was kind of like that too. I mean, he hadn't earned his spot, so to speak, and he was beating everybody, and winning titles. And I remember his first world title win. Everybody was like, "What?
Yeah,
this guy?" But it turned out good.
I mean, you know, things take time. I guess we're impatient in this period of time where we're so used to getting what we want now.
No.
That's true. As wrestling fans,
I think it's just been a shitty build.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's just been completely crappy. Yeah. Then the next match.
The next match was Bray Wyatt versus Finn Balor. Two men fighting each other.
This build, they interjected Goldust into it, which will come up a little bit later on the Raw review.
Yes.
But they interject Goldust into this match, which made absolutely no sense. Balor won the first match against Bray.
As the Demon.
Which I thought was a mistake that Bray should have won, especially if they're going to continue the feud.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, well, they'll have Bray win the rubber match, or, the next match before they have the rubber match. And then we have it, and it looks like Bray will win because he does the attack.
Yeah.
He suckers him back into the ring. And
goads him into the match even after he's injured.
They have Balor win.
And
I was like, okay, is this the end of the feud?
I mean, hopefully. Hopefully it's a way they sort of peter it off. Because if they're not going to give...
If Bray doesn't win the feud, then they essentially have killed him.
Yeah, they've wasted him. I mean, I like Bray Wyatt, but he's basically been used as a sort of upper card jobber.
Yeah.
So he gets these big matches. You've seen it with The Undertaker. You've seen it with a whole bunch of other people. And he loses them.
Everyone.
And it's such a waste. And this is what I keep telling people all the time. He should have won The Undertaker one.
We can't forget, he was world champion just a few months ago.
Yeah.
Not Universal Champion, he was the world champion.
For what reason did they give that to him if not to push him, and then they just completely destroy his push?
He won the Elimination Chamber.
He was unfortunately, I think, a placeholder champion, which is a shame.
I think all of them have been up till Jinder for that. But,
yeah.
Because Orton was too. It was like, oh wait, we got to put this on a face. But yeah.
We got to put this on a face that has already been champion, so we know how this plays out. An established winner, so that the next guy who wins it looks strong.
They've had a couple of interim champions there, but so yeah, I don't know unless Bray actually wins the feud, which I doubt
somehow
is going to happen. Because I don't know, yeah.
All right. Also, let me just say, I love Balor's Sling Blade. It's a great move. Unfortunately, Rollins also does it to much less effectiveness.
I like that it's just a regular move. Both of them use it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's nice.
Surprising that both of them get to use it.
I just like to talk about it because every time Balor hits it, it just is so satisfying. Next match was the tag belts. So that was Sheamus and Cesaro versus Rollins and Dirty Dean. Sheamus and Cesaro showing excellent tag teamwork.
I mean,
throughout this whole match,
we knew this was going to be a good match.
Yeah, and it was. It was probably honestly the best match on the main card.
Probably was.
And it was a slobber knocker. They went at each other, and Cesaro lost teeth as revenge for when he kicked the teeth out of.
Was it him or wasn't it Sheamus?
Was it Sheamus?
I was thinking.
I forget, but I figured it was payback for Brother Nero losing
his teeth. He hit the post and it pushed his teeth up into his jaw.
That's what it was.
Pushed it up 4 millimeters.
Oh yeah, that's why it was gushing blood.
Yeah.
Because I remember I saw it and I figured he just bounced his chin off, and then I saw him hold his mouth and then just blood gushing.
And you could tell as soon as it happened, like he hit the corner and he come back and he just covered his face up and he was just like, oh.
I can't imagine, but I mean, props to him.
And he finished the match.
He finished the match.
10 to 15 more minutes of the match.
Yeah.
With his teeth, not just knocked out.
Shoved into his jaw.
I think if they had been knocked out, it would be better.
Yeah.
Instead, they got pushed up. And I don't know about you, but I can't imagine my teeth being pushed up into basically your nasal cavity is what. Major props to Cesaro. He should get some kind of huge push after this.
He should also have been immediately rushed to some sort of surgery.
Well, when he got out and he climbed down off the apron and I think they come looked at him, but what can you do?
It's just like find a 24-hour dental surgery place.
Hopefully they did. I know he got stitched up afterwards. His lip got all busted open from it.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how many stitches he had. They had like a little clip on WWE.com.
Yeah, I saw that.
And that looked pretty nasty itself. Yeah. I don't know if you saw on Twitter or not, but Natalia sent a picture to Cesaro saying, you know, hey, I've been there. And then she showed a picture with her fronts gone. So apparently she doesn't have any front teeth either. She has fake teeth with those, the front two.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty funny. She's all smiling like, eh. And yeah, it's like
bleeding the
okay.
hard way, man. Bleeding the hard way.
I wonder how many wrestlers actually have their real teeth still.
I
would
I'm
think
sure,
it'd be very few.
I'm sure very few have all of their real teeth. It's really more of a bet to see how many wrestlers have real teeth left.
Right? How many? Like, who's the winner? Who has who has like 20? Who has one?
Who's like missing a tooth?
Although I will say, you know, I always thought it was great watching some old Japanese wrestling, where it was Toshiaki Kawada, and he would take his teeth out before his match and put in the corner.
Yeah, if you can, I mean, you protect that.
Right?
'Cause,
But
I
just
mean,
that he
you
would
pay
come
money.
out and then like why wait till you get to the ring? But he would come out and like, I mean that says badass right there. Like you're going to get your ass kicked because this dude just took
Because he
his
doesn't
teeth
care.
out.
He doesn't have any teeth left.
Right. Yeah, he was just like, oh, let me put these over here, just on the dirty mat that 7 people's already wrestled on tonight.
That's all right.
Yeah,
Tough guy.
yeah. Tough guy.
That's how you
He
work.
was.
He sure was.
Yeah, so great match.
Great match. One move I want to talk about was the powerbomb of Rollins into Dirty Dean.
Oh,
That Sheamus and Cesaro have consistently been very impressive with their ability to work together as a tag team and especially to use their opponents against each other. Unfortunately, that's what happened to them where Cesaro took the brogue kick,
good finish.
but
Although I will say, and I think you'll probably want to talk about this. This may take up way too much time, but let's talk about Seth Rollins' finisher. What's he calling it? The Kingslayer.
the Kingslayer. I heard the Kingslayer. I think someone, and I wasn't sure if this was a name change of it, or if Corey Graves, who I think is the one that called it, botched the name. Because I heard King's Landing also.
Kingslayer sounds much better.
Kingslayer is much better because that was his whole thing, right? He's the
Right.
Kingslayer, which is very similar, if not the same move. Some people argue that it's not exactly the same, so giving them a little bit of that as what is known as the rain trigger of my guy.
I would say it's not the same, or a variation thereof, maybe.
But some people have gone and been like, oh, Seth Rollins totally stole that move. So, I mean, that's a whole nother topic entirely.
I
so we're not going to go too
because
far
there's
into
no
it.
sound. You know, like when you get a super kick,
Yeah.
you know, they slap their leg, or so many moves. Like people do a running knee and slap their leg, or can't think of the dude's name from, or Gallagher from
The Cruiserweight?
205.
Yeah.
When he does his headbutt and he slaps both legs and makes this god awful sound, and it looks great.
I was like, he's got a nice looking headbutt though, and that's another thing I want to talk about. There were a lot of headbutts in this pay-per-view, a lot more than I recall seeing in most pay-per-views. There was
It's becoming
one in almost
one of
every
those
match.
moves.
Yeah, which I thought was really unusual because you don't really see that much in most WWE matches.
I don't know if it's
reserved.
Like one of these inside jokes because Kevin Owens headbutted
because the
Vince
headbutt,
McMahon.
yeah.
So everybody's like, let's go out and do headbutts all night.
They did, and a lot of them were great.
And on that
honestly.
note, the corner, the missed spear in the corner is just ridiculous. Every match has
All the
a
time.
missed spear in the corner, and it's getting so cliche. And
I think
old.
Nia Jax took 2 of them.
It's ridiculous. You know, Strowman did it.
Yeah.
Nia did it. Of course, Reigns did it.
Oh, of course.
And it's just like every match, that move is hit, and
it's
overused.
It's become predictable at this point, where it loses some of its impact.
Yeah.
And that's another thing, you know, moves that are used so much, like how they used to talk about when you do a finisher more than once in a match, it's no longer a finisher.
Right.
And I think that's sort of what's been an issue for certain moves, such as the miss shoulder into the miss spear into
It's becoming
the turnbuckle.
a ridiculous thing in WWE though.
Yeah, and then it makes these moves look less effective in the long run.
We may just have to do a whole podcast on
just
wrestling dynamics,
yeah,
as I like to call it.
That can be another show. We're
yeah,
just adding shows to this project that we're trying to do.
Stuff you guys can look forward to.
Hopefully, if anyone's watching.
Yeah, well, this may be the only
besides my mom. Hi, Mom.
So, yeah, the finish, I don't know, Rollins needs to work on it or something. I just don't buy it. I mean, it looks great as a setup for Dirty Deeds.
Yeah, I mean, I liked...
That works.
I liked how they used it in tandem. Because it looked great.
Yeah.
And I was surprised at how good it looked together because I never would have thought.
I think it's a great setup move.
Yeah. But as a finisher... it needs to be, and I've been using this word a whole bunch. There needs to be more impactful. Yeah,
if you had that sound to it, it would look like, oh, he just like nailed him on the jaw. And maybe they should sell it better too.
Maybe, I was like, maybe it's an in tandem thing. The person delivering it needs to make it look more devastating. The person selling it needs to sell it more.
Yeah.
Because then you look at Nakamura's knee strike, and that always looks hella brutal, no matter who it's to.
If I was Rollins, I would do that as a setup, and then I would do the super kick.
He's not going to use a super kick.
You know, super kick standing, or did he used to use it in, I don't know, ROH or NXT, where they were on their knees and he would do the short super kick? He does it in his matches still, but I mean that would even be
not like a finish or anything.
It would be more acceptable.
You know, this is going to sound terrible. I miss the curb stomp sort of.
I like the curb stomp.
Because I thought it was really good as far as like a really good heel finisher.
It was, yeah.
But of course, you know, with the anti-bullying campaign, like we can't have kids curb stomping each other; they'll murder each other, which is true. If you, if you know,
but a suplex is okay, I guess.
Well, yeah, because I mean, most of the time kids can't carry each other to do a straight suplex.
My daughter could.
Well, yeah, that's different. His daughter is going to be the future WWE World Champion. Not Women's Champion or anything. World Champion.
She's 5 years old, and she just told me the other day that when she turns 16, she wants to start training.
Yeah! That's awesome.
So, yeah.
Hopefully there'll be more stuff in Hawaii. Hopefully she won't have to do what I do and fly to Maui to get wrestling training.
We may just have to, start our own thing here.
I mean, it's been a challenge starting this show, so who knows how it would work starting a promotion here.
You're a scrub, so...
I mean, it's true. But I'm also getting wrestling training, so...
Yeah, no, you suck.
Do I?
Yeah.
I won the IC title off a person, so...
I do wish they had something closer. But anyway, so that match was that, and... Cesaro left with no title and no front teeth. I guess they got to pull him out. And
I'm not really sure.
I don't think they're gonna save him.
I don't think you can because I'm sure like the roots have broken or something.
Oh, I'm sure it disintegrated.
Yeah. It just. Oof.
Yeah. So.
But a hell of a man, that Claudio Castagnoli.
I don't know. Do you think he should just leave him out like Abyss does? And would that be better for their gimmick, their heel gimmick? He just comes in the ring with no front teeth.
No.
Remember, Benoit was missing
he was,
an eye tooth, I think.
I don't think they'll do that with Cesaro.
They always reference. I know it's not PC to talk about Benoit, right?
Chris Benoit.
Yes. But they always talked about how he lost that tooth in a match when it really was I think his pet Rottweiler had butted him and knocked his tooth out.
I mean, really, that's a better story.
It is a better story, really. Like, I'm going to fight with a Rottweiler.
So many people lose their teeth in matches, but not many people lose their teeth after
in a dog fight.
In a dog fight.
So there's that.
There's that.
So the next match
was the women's match. It was the Fatal 5-Way: Nia Jax versus Bayley versus Sasha Banks versus Emma versus Alexa Bliss.
I think this was the point where you could start telling that the pay-per-view is going downhill.
Yeah.
Not anything against the women's. Yeah. There was a lot of great spots in the match.
Oh yeah, it was really great, and I think most of the women got a good opportunity to shine, especially Emma. Yeah. Emma had a pretty decent showing against Alexa Bliss.
Yeah.
I liked their little showdowns against each other when they were the only two in the ring, and I thought it was really good because I mean, what have they been doing with Emma? And Emma's been part of the women's, quote unquote, women's revolution from the very beginning when she went against Paige to be the inaugural
Emma had
NXT
that
champ.
push for a return, and then when she come back, they just like totally
they deflated it completely.
Yeah,
it was the whole Emelina thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then it wasn't
about.
working. And I mean, you have to know fairly early on if someone's taking to a character instead of giving them months and months and months and months and months to get this character. If they don't, let's say if they don't get it in the first month, you gotta adjust.
I think it was just like in bad taste to begin with, anyway.
Well, yeah, because it was completely going back to the original idea of a diva.
Yeah.
And in this day and age, none of the women in the women's division want to go back to that.
Yeah.
They're very comfortable with being taken seriously, and I mean, you know, I've seen some of the women in the women's division on both Raw and SmackDown do some really incredible stuff. Mm-hmm. So I mean, why go back to it?
I think the with this match we did get is to see a few spots from Nia.
Yes.
Which we were happy about.
The double Samoan drop. The squat she did first, and the double Samoan drop on Alexa Bliss and Sasha Banks.
I think they failed to really hit a high note with Bayley again.
Oh man, there's so much. I love Bayley. Bayley is mine and my little cousin. My little cousin just turned 13. She's our favorite. She's the wrestler that we bonded over. She has like one of the original I'm a Hugger NXT Bayley shirts that I couldn't get for myself, so I got it for her. And I have the Hugger's Gonna Hug, and like we wear it every pay-per-view Bayley's gonna wrestle. And like she made her own Bayley headband and stuff. Like
they should have done a Bayley John Cena angle. Like Hugger's gonna hug and Thugger's gonna thug. I mean,
just have him be a mixed tag. Just do it. But yeah, and Bayley unfortunately was the one that ate the pin, and also was the one that did probably the least in the match.
Yeah,
and I'm really concerned because it's been a sort of downslide for Bayley since Extreme Rules, where she got squashed.
Yeah, I don't know if they just don't know what to do with her
or something, like if she pissed someone off backstage or.
Here's my biggest problem with the women's division is that you have very few women wrestlers per show, and how many have actually been world champion, women's champion? You know, we have Sasha, we have Bayley, we have Alexa, Mickie James. 4 out of.
Has Alicia Fox ever won it?
Is she on Raw?
She's technically on Raw.
I don't know if Alicia has won it or not. She may have at one point.
I feel like in the rotating door of Divas Champion, she might have had it once.
And that's and that's a huge problem. I don't get into TNA, but that was a huge problem with TNA. Everybody's had the world title, and we're getting to the point where
when everyone's special, nobody's special.
Right. Yeah. And we're getting to that point, the whole roster, because if we look at the only people who haven't had the world title so far has been Samoa Joe, Braun Strowman.
Oh,
and the Jobbers.
On Raw?
On Raw, yeah. And I mean, Bray's had it. A Universal or World title.
Balor's had it. And even if it was just for a day.
Yeah. And so we're getting to that point with the women too.
Yeah.
It's like I really want to see them strap Nia, but if we strap Nia, then that's one more who has the title that didn't, and it deflates it.
Oh, well, see, I was really surprised that they gave it to Alexa so fast. I understand why. As far as on screen and off screen, from some of the things you hear about Alexa Bliss, which I mean, hey, you do what you gotta do.
She is good though.
She is. She's probably, as far as character wise, been the most solid female heel.
And that one pay-per-view where she dislocated her elbow or whatever, I think it was against Sasha. I was blown away because I was like, oh shit, is that legit? Because it looked crazy.
Yeah.
And even Sasha's response was good.
Yeah.
And so I was like, what?
She's weird and double jointed.
Yeah.
But Alexa Bliss, as far as being a heel as far as being a heel goes, she's done some of the best stuff in her career as a heel.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember when she was a face and she was going nowhere. And then when she turned heel to manage Blake and Murphy, that's when people started taking her a lot more seriously. She got more time on the mic. She got more time in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
I think it really ended up working out for the best for her.
I don't think they're going to take the title off of her anytime soon.
Unless to give it to Asuka. Because I'm wondering... Because she's coming at TLC,
she's
right?
coming at TLC. I think that's her debut show.
I mean, I don't think she'll fight Bliss there.
I'm hoping that they have Asuka just go through the steps and defeat everybody in the division, all like 5 of them. Because we need to see a good build.
Yeah.
We need to see Asuka earn it. And then probably I would say go to WrestleMania and have Asuka versus Alexa. I wouldn't do it anytime sooner than that.
It'd be nice and have her have, you know, a big match at every pay-per-view leading up to it.
Because after TLC we have Survivor Series.
Yeah.
So we're going to get you know, a women's...
It's gonna be the women's Survivor Series.
Yeah. So that one's kind of a write-off as far as a title defense.
I don't know what the Raw pay-per-view is going to be for December. I tried looking it up and I didn't.
I think I read that there's not going to be one.
They're having Monday Night Raw on Christmas. They're going to have something.
I don't know. Maybe they're just going to have Christmas be their pay-per-view.
It's on a Monday.
I don't know.
Who knows? Also, I feel really bad for them for having to do a Raw on Christmas. I mean, it keeps it
getting paid.
Hope they're getting paid time and a half.
Like
hopefully
nobody loses
people.
their teeth. Oh.
But I mean, by the time it's Christmas, they won't be able to get it because they'll have already gotten all their Christmas presents.
Yeah.
So I'll have to wait until next year to get their front teeth.
Women's match was decent.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I did, like I said before, I liked the use of Emma in this because I think a lot of people are going into the match assuming that Emma was going to eat the pin.
Right.
Because she was the outlier, you know?
Well, I don't know. In my head, I'm thinking, what has Bayley done to get so much heat? Because, you know, even before she was injured, she was like...
They were turning on her a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So I think they've kind of downplayed Bayley because of that. Like, oh, how's the crowd going to respond? Which means they actually listen to the crowd.
Which is something that we're going to get into in the next match. But I think they did really well with showing that Emma is a contender. Mm-hmm. And, of course, showing the powerhouse status of Nia Jax when it took all 4 of them to do the double kicks into the double powerbomb.
The double powerbomb was a great spot with her knees, like, totally come up over her head.
Yeah.
I thought she was out at that point because she was just sandwiched.
Broke her in half.
She come in the ring pissed off, looked great.
Oh, yeah. No, it totally sold her so well as the monster of the women's division.
Yeah.
And I'm very interested to see how they use this dynamic, especially when Asuka's coming up.
I feel like they're holding off on it because Braun is such a big monster right now. They don't want to...
They don't want to have 2.
Mirror image, which is almost ridiculous. They should just put her on SmackDown then. But...
Then have her be the powerhouse there. But then she'd have to fight with Tamina to be the powerhouse. Because Tamina Snuka is the powerhouse over there.
She is, but they're not using Tamina like they should either.
That's a whole nother...
Yeah.
That's a whole nother podcast.
We should just do a whole podcast on the women, too.
Yeah. See, we're just adding so many things. Great content for you guys is John Cena versus Roman Reigns.
My father-in-law actually tried to miss that match. He was trying to come for the main event, and he come right when Cena Reigns come on.
That match was the longest match of the pay-per-view. It was like 22 minutes.
He was like, oh. And I think he wanted to leave. Like, I'll be back, but...
It wasn't that bad of a match. I mean, it could have been a whole lot worse.
Let me just say
realize this.
That could have been on Raw.
That could have been on a Raw.
Most of this pay-per-view could have been on Raw.
It was a name draw. That's why it was on a pay-per-view.
Because it's really irritating when they say, "Oh, this is a WrestleMania style match,"
which I mean, I guess it is.
Does not deliver.
But yeah, well, I mean, this pay-per-view did a whole lot of not delivering. So
there were pros and cons. So like, there weren't 50 Superman punches, which
Just
I called
49.
your foot like just
I'm just sitting in a chair. Calm down.
there. I think I said that I was calling 16 Superman punches, and I think
Oh,
there was
like
only
the 16
3
German suplexes?
Right. I think there was only like 3 or 4. So part of me was pleasantly let down that there wasn't so many Superman punches and so many spears, and so many FUs and so many. Anyway,
STFs and
yeah.
AAs and all that.
I wish
Five
I didn't
knuckle
see
shuffles.
the match. It was.
I am a little bit opposite in that I liked certain parts of the match. I thought that it did well as far as storytelling.
It did.
Like my favorite part of the match, hilariously, was right in the beginning when they're chanting that you both suck, and then Cena just like looks at the crowd and he's like, "So do you want me to leave?
You
Maybe
know,
I should go." And then as he's walking
didn't
out,
like that part.
and then as he's walking out, he's like, "I listened to you guys." I thought that was hysterical.
I know he took a lot
it was
of.
it was such Mark shit, honestly.
It was. Even on his part, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because he knows he's leaving. And this is...
He doesn't need this.
This was a big thing for him because it was like the arena he won his first world title in or something.
Was it?
And yeah, I think against JBL.
That's funny.
And so he was like, I'm making somebody. This was his... And I think in Cena's mind, this was his Flair Sting 1990 Great American Bash moment.
Yeah.
Which is totally not that.
No.
They're trying to make it out like that. It's totally not. I'm sorry, if beating The Undertaker can't get you over, then, well...
Oh, yeah,
it's just booked. This has all been booked wrong for
They
Roman
tried
Reigns.
so hard
This
to
is just
use
step
this to
2.
give him that rub.
And
it still doesn't work.
When he raised Roman Reigns' hand at the end and they booed still, this is like one of the only matches where fans wanted Cena to win.
Yeah, no, and
that says a lot.
It was interesting because then when they had the back and forth of punches, every punch Reigns hit, boos. Every punch Cena hits,
Yay.
like cheers. It was very interesting to see the crowd get behind Cena for a change, because usually it's the opposite.
You're right. And
usually anyone that Cena goes up against, the crowd cheers for.
Mm-hmm.
Well, except
Almost
for Baron
always.
Corbin, because that also didn't work too, but that's a whole
And
other thing.
I talk a lot about Cena and Reigns in my blog posts and whatnot, but it's because of that that they're outside of this face heel phenomenon. It somewhat works with Cena because it is
Cena.
split,
Yeah.
like half cheer, half boo. Even though I think you look at the demographic.
I was gonna say it's a
would,
definite age and gender demographic with Cena,
but it definitely depends.
But
on
it is
who
also
he's
with
facing.
Reigns. Yeah.
With Reigns, it's not as split as with Cena.
But
it's a different.
Yeah.
It's a different thing. Like Reigns has been shoved down people's throats.
Oh,
whereas
yeah.
Cena, he's kind of like take him or leave him, and some fans like him, some don't. But even him with Cena, it's like the Hogan dynamic when the fans turned on Hogan because he just win.
All he does is win. Yeah.
I could say so many things right now.
Yeah.
And with Reigns, it's just different because even though he wins all the time, it's so preordained.
Yeah. I mean, it's not.
It's like if we're going to make him over by
It's
him
not
winning.
as much of a thrill.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't get that sense of like, when he wins.
Cena became, he got his legs under him before the fans started to turn on him.
Yeah.
So it is different in that respect. But the match was so. I thought it would go longer, actually, and I kind of feel like it was meant to.
But then...
because there's that one spot where Reigns is going to spear Cena through the table, and he basically DDT'd himself on the table for real.
Yeah.
It looked
It was
horrible.
ugly.
He, if you see it in slow motion, he really lands on his head. And then the table crashes. And then his neck is bent all weird. His ass ends over his head. And I thought he knocked himself out. I think he was knocked out for a little bit. Because his face looked different after.
It was a little bit of a daze.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was ugly. It was ugly and kind of concerning.
Yeah.
So I think definitely it was. They were going to continue the match, but they were definitely going to cut it a little
I think
bit short.
they cut it short. Because otherwise, I think Cena would have taken like 3 or 4 spears.
Yeah.
And Cena was 1 spear.
Would have made him look a little bit stronger.
Right. I think it would have. I think the match kind of needed it just from the build. And Cena is just such a huge star, and Reigns is, going to defeat this big dragon. And he does it with 1 spear.
Get that torch, if you will.
Yeah. And it would almost come off as like he stole the win. Superman punch, spear, pin, and it was like, oh my god. And all the build up afterwards from Cena, he did the talk after.
Yeah.
And Reigns is such a blah 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 blah.
Tried so hard to just sell it.
Nobody's buying it, no matter who says it.
I know, and in some ways I feel really bad for Roman Reigns for it.
Oh, I totally feel bad for him. I still hate his push.
Yeah.
I still hate his character. I don't
think he had much of a choice in this matter, and now unfortunately he's the one taking most of the heat for it because it's him.
And I mean, I think there's a different perspective from people who are in the wrestling business versus the fans. Like they say, oh, he comes up, he's humble, he can do all this stuff, and he's trying to learn.
I'm certain that's true as a person,
right?
But it doesn't come off that way, and I think
when you're
that
telling
played
the story,
yeah.
None of that means anything really.
I think if they played that more visibly on TV as part of a storyline, I think people would be a little bit more drawn to him organically rather than feeling like they're being told that this is the person they're supposed to like, which I think is where a lot of the backlash comes from for Reigns. Oh,
completely. I would book him more like Ricky the Steamboat. I mean, he have this be himself,
and he could do it. Character. Yeah, he could 100% do it. It's just
I think it would totally be more over if he was like this family man, and then do the things that kind of come as a badass or whatnot because he's doing it for his family. Because if you listen to any of his interviews, that's how it comes across, like out of wrestling. But when he's in the match and he's laughing and smiling
and kind of cocky,
it comes off really cocky and really kind of green.
Yeah.
And I don't know who's pushing it like that, but it just doesn't work for me. Either does all the Superman punches, but
it's a finisher that's different from what's going on the rest of the roster.
It's not a finisher.
I think that's his.
Here's another thing, because I was rewatching the match earlier, and he has 2 moves that come out of the corner, and it's kind of odd. He does a Superman punch from the corner, although he can do it from
anywhere
angles,
in the ring.
But usually it's from the corner, and then he goes back to the corner and he does a spear, and I don't know.
He just likes corners.
What was his finisher in NXT?
I honestly don't remember. I didn't pay that much attention to him in NXT, because I mean it's
I really don't know.
It's terrible of me probably, but yeah, I like him when he's part of a team because then he can really use his.
He can use the other's charisma and the other momentum.
Well, yeah, and he can stand out. He can stand out in the team because he's obviously going to be the one that's built like a powerhouse.
Right.
So all of his moves, especially in comparison to his other team members, are going to look extra devastating.
Right.
And that's why he was like the big dog of the Shield.
That's what worked with the Shield because he has spots. It's like his moves aren't fluid. They don't lend any credibility to his matches that you're building.
But he can pull out these incredible spots.
He does
in a match.
Yeah.
And I mean that I think is a great testament to his ability.
Yeah, he's definitely athletic.
But especially when, how do I put this? When you go from having the support of a team to being thrown to the sharks, as it were, and especially when you have people like Seth Rollins, who before Seth Rollins was Tyler Black,
right,
and had a really solid foundation within the indie circuit, especially in Ring of Honor. He knows his stuff in wrestling, and Dean Ambrose, who was Jon Moxley. I mean, and both of them had characters built up as well as different movesets. So, Dirty Dean was obviously the most charismatic out of the 3 because of the incredible promos he was able to cut for the Shield. And then you see this great technician in the ring, Seth Rollins. And then you have Roman Reigns.
Rollins is good on the mic, too.
He's
So
he's definitely gotten better. I think in the beginning it was a little weird because he probably wasn't used to being in a team and having that dynamic in his promos. Whereas Dirty Dean was very used to being part of teams and stables and stuff, so he was able to think, I think, a little bit more in that mindset.
I think Reigns needed another like season or two in a tag team or to develop before this big push.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if we look at the Usos in the last couple of years, and they have grown so much that they're ready.
Their tag team now though is like probably one of the more entertaining parts of SmackDown.
Oh, definitely.
Just their ability to cut promos and how much they've changed their wrestling style now to be heels compared to what they were as faces is incredible.
But if you look when tag teams get split up, like the Usos now, to me, like I could split them up, put them on two different brands, and develop them differently because they're great on the mic, they're great in the ring, they come a long way. But if you look at like with the Shield, Reigns wasn't ready.
Reigns wasn't ready. But
then here we are now.
Rollins and Ambrose was, and I think were depending because I think they wanted it to be Rollins versus Reigns initially.
Right.
To sort of get that build, and that wasn't really working because I remember what was the promo he cut, and it was like the first time he had actually said something, and I was like, oh, this is pretty good. It was him and Dirty Dean in a ring. It was very shortly after Shield split up. Mm-hmm. He's like, there's 3 things you don't do. You don't piss in the wind, you don't tug on Superman's cape, and you don't turn your back on your brothers. And I was like, this is not bad. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like the first time you'd actually heard him cut a promo by himself.
But then it was like,
and it was
2 months he was out, or 3 months?
Yeah.
And he did take acting classes.
He went and he saw that he needed to improve, so he went and he actively took steps to try and.
But we also can't forget the timing was Daniel Bryan was the chosen one.
Yeah.
And it was an organic.
Daniel Bryan is someone that we could have like a whole entire show about.
But I mean that really hurt Reigns' push.
Oh yeah.
And when he was being pushed down the fans' throats instead of Bryan getting what everyone felt he
deserved.
It was a huge backlash.
It really made people turn against him even harder.
And I think that's going to haunt him his whole career.
Oh yeah.
Until they rebuild him from ground zero. I thought what they should have. I think that what they should have done is had Cena win, and then Reigns go ape shit crazy and take Cena out. Him.
Yeah,
like
and have
in
that
a bad
be,
way.
Yeah, and have that be how he's written off TV for a while.
Yeah, Cena's gone.
He's out on injury,
and then Reigns comes on Raw and he cuts a promo saying, "I retired the Undertaker. I've retired John Cena. You're never going to see those two again. Who's next?" He's like. I'll
next?
Take...
And Goldberg comes
out, and Reigns takes Goldberg out right there.
Reigns spears him, and then,
in half.
And then Goldberg passes the spear torch.
So, that would have been a great thing for Balor to come out and then start their feud.
They're not going to...
out of the Bray thing.
They're not
But they should have turned Reigns heel right then. It would have been a good reason for have Cena gone.
I knew they weren't going to halfway through the match... I was like, John Cena is going to be like... No, at the end of it, John Cena is going to be like, I respect you.
Yeah. I mean, know that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But in my mind...
But then I was thinking that what they should have done, which I knew they weren't going to do, what they should have done is have Reigns just be like, I still don't respect you. But like, just have him be the bad guy.
The fans want it because the fans really hate him right now. And the only way... Yeah, the only way they're going to... feel like, okay, he's cocky, he does all these heel tactics, he needs to turn heel. And I mean, the fans want it because he does these heel tactics.
Yeah.
And you can't tease those things and then not follow through. So now here we are, and then I guess we'll have to do the Raw review later, but it bleeds over into that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, Reigns was booed at the end with John Cena raising his hands. Where do you go from here? It's hard to get Reigns over.
Oh yeah, so, I can't imagine Like if they're
I
not,
could do it.
because and we both could do it, but I mean they're not gonna listen to us unless you guys are looking for writers. Yeah, we could do it. I have a Jimmy Jacobs shirt if that counts for anything, because he's a writer. So
Well, I think
play to the people
and that's what my blog is
already on the creative team.
My blog is all about writing and wrestling, and how the two go together, and what wrestling doesn't follow through with storytelling sometimes.
I have a theater degree, so just saying, just throwing that out there. Anyway,
and we're natural heels too.
Yeah, we are.
So then the main event.
Oh no!
Which, no.
There's the matches right before the WWE Cruiserweight Championship match
How
between
can I forget about this?
Enzo Amore, the certified G and bona fide stud, versus Neville,
The king of the Cruiserweights.
the king of the Cruiserweights.
This match was what it sounds like it would be.
The whole Beetlejuice thing was so weird, which I don't understand. That's something I want to get out of the way right now. If anyone can explain to me why Beetlejuice, like, is it the anniversary of Beetlejuice or something?
Maybe he's trying to be like Mysterio. He has like a new theme every.
It was very weird.
I don't know.
It was very weird. And then, like, when he took off the coat and there's, like, the part of the overalls it's showing, it was a picture of him as Beetlejuice, which is the words Enzo Amore around his head over and over again.
You think if we said his name
so
3 times, he would disappear from wrestling and never come back?
Should we try it?
I would love to do that. I'm not a huge Enzo fan. He's grown on me a little bit because he's great on the mic.
Oh, yeah, no. Easily one of the most naturally charismatic people on the mic. Dusty Rhodes himself loved Enzo on the mic.
To me,
believed in him a lot.
I feel that he should be a manager. He should come out and do all the mic work.
You know what he was doing when he was in a tag team.
Right. Because, and here's why I think he should be a manager too. Because if we look at, Bobby Heenan, that he started out as a wrestler.
Yeah, he did.
And
so I think that worked really well because he had a good understanding of what it's like to be a wrestler and how to best manage anyone that's going into the ring.
He could take spots too.
Oh yeah, he could.
So it made it that much better because it added to the match that I want him to get the manager, and then the face would get the manager, and the fans would pop, and we could have Enzo do that.
Well, I mean, Enzo
2 or 3 matches a year.
Yeah, and Enzo can take bumps.
And that's what the fans want to see.
Good. Yeah.
Which is also what happened on Raw.
But yeah, I mean,
the finish, it worked with what the fallout happens
with him. Well, with him being a heel, because see, that's the thing. Enzo is a charismatic heel, and he gets paired when he's in tag teams on 205. He gets paired with all these faces. And then he cheats to win. The other guy's like, "What are you doing, man?" He's like, "Hey, at least we still won." And I guess then they're just like, "Well, yeah, I guess."
He's kind of been this tweener, and that's a whole other show too.
He's a dirty face tweener.
What a tweener is, but he's been in between face and heel for a while now, and this is kind of like his final push over the edge, hopefully to be a heel, and. He won the match with a low blow. I don't think
he's going to hold that title very long.
I hope he does, honestly. And that's a whole different thing. But I was talking to one of my friends earlier, and he asked me, he's like, well, what's the difference between Eddie doing it and Enzo doing it?
Yeah, this is something that I brought up, too, is that it's...
Well, let me hear your take on it.
So, because it's very Eddie. It's so obviously Eddie.
Right.
The whole I steal, cheat to win, all that whole thing, it's very reminiscent. But Enzo Amore's charisma is not in the same charming way as Eddie Guerrero's was. True. So people don't naturally get behind him as much. Plus the fact that Eddie Guerrero had shown several times before he actually came into that gimmick that he was talented anyway.
Right.
So, I mean, it wasn't necessarily like
my
he
take
needed
on it,
that to win.
I will put this with Eddie, Piper, Funk, Flair even, is that you have a certain group of people who were heels who got over as heels. The fans respected them as heels. And when they turned face, that had been such a big part of their character. Like, yeah, I am willing to go that far to win a match.
Yeah.
Even as a face.
Yeah.
And so when you had these guys cheat, like when Flair's in a match and he's face and he cheats, it's Flair. So it's acceptable.
Because
Piper.
then it comes off as like, well, it's just Ric Flair.
Right. Piper was the same way. You're going to get a thumb in the eye, even if Piper's face.
Yeah.
Terry
And especially
Funk,
when he
you're
does
gonna
it as
get
a
hit
face
with
against
something.
the heel, that goes over even
Right,
harder.
because it's like, oh, the heel's finally getting his, desserts for what he's always done.
Yeah.
And with Eddie, he also did it in such a comedic way when he was a face.
Yeah.
That's like, I'm cheating,
That
but I'm cheating in a way.
It didn't seem dirty.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was more of like a ha,
Right.
Eddie.
It's eye for an eye
Yeah,
sort of thing.
It was a lot more of comeuppance rather than dirty.
It's almost like an anti-hero aspect to it, because it's like, okay, this is the common man, and he's gonna, you did this to me, so I'm gonna do it to you.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't come off as heel. With Enzo for one isn't a legend. He hasn't had this huge career as a heel where he's gotten over.
He hasn't even really had that successful of a tag team career.
Right.
They never held the
And
titles.
so with Enzo doing it, it just comes off heel. And I think it was planned that way. It's a little skittish because it's a strange heel turn. And I think that somebody probably saw that last night and was like, okay, we kind of got to go a little bit more to get him over his heel, because Neville by no means was prepped to turn face.
Oh, yeah, no. And Neville's been doing such great heel work. Like, I think Neville is easily the best heel in 205, even more than Enzo. Mostly because of, like,
Not
you see...
anymore.
I stand by what I said, mostly because I remember this. Neville will take the DQ to keep his belt,
Right.
which I love.
And I think
it's genius.
They should do that with Enzo. And we'll touch on that for the Raw review as well. Mm-hmm. We may have to make this a two-parter.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah. So let's get to the main. Was it
The main
match
event?
after?
No.
That was it. Yeah.
So it was Lesnar versus Strowman for the Universal Belt.
Which was really short.
It was incredibly short.
It
was
was a
lot.
12-minute match.
It was
10
9
to 12
minutes.
Was it 9?
It was less than 10 minutes.
So my
I
big
was
problem
stunned.
was it took one F5.
Yeah.
I mean, yes.
I mean, he struggled. So he
had
had
the Kimura lock on.
attempted the F5 several times through the match, and every time he got him just about up, he would always sell the back.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh god, and then he would drop him.
And
Strowman landed several power slams throughout the match.
Did you like a Paul's cough drop?
Thank you, Halls. The cool, refreshing taste.
It was very reminiscent of the Samoa Joe matches. And it wasn't as good, though.
Yeah.
You had where Joe just was on Lesnar. And...
I've never seen someone...
Sorry, somebody pulled up outside.
Get such a good rub from Brock Lesnar.
Joe got a
honestly.
great rub.
Joe got a great rub. And the thing I think about all the time is, it was on a Raw, I think, where Lesnar was coming out. Joe comes up behind him.
Chokes him out.
Lesnar turns fucking purple.
Yeah, because his face is naturally red.
Yeah.
All the time. Even in this match, it's like,
Yeah.
can somebody please send this guy a bottle of sun lotion?
Turns purple. Like, I thought that was amazing. I thought that was such a good way to push Joe as a real contender.
I half expected Joe to interfere in the match. I really hoped he had.
But Joe is still out on injury.
Even just having him show up would have been...
Just have like a
so much
stare
more
off
brilliant.
or something.
Causing, a DQ or anything. But yeah, the one F5... I would at least like to see like 2 or 3 F5s and then Brock really having to earn the pin.
Yeah.
Because the way they've built up Braun as this monster heel, or monster among men.
Yeah.
Because he's really been booked as a face.
Because Paul Heyman doesn't believe in monsters, but he believes that Braun Strowman is one.
I even speculated if Heyman would turn on Brock.
Yeah, that's what we've been
kinda
talking about
teased
too.
And it's just, I don't know, the match...
That'll happen at a bigger pay-per-view, I think.
I don't know if they're going to do a rematch. It doesn't look like it.
No, because
But
it was
I feel like
it was a
this-
pretty solid defeat.
I feel like this really hurts Braun.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I think it could have. I think they tried to make him look strong through that, but because that was, I think, in fact, the shortest match of the pay-per-view,
Yeah.
it didn't quite work. And I mean, he still comes out looking like kind of a face, because they had the whole thing of like, well, you know, he lasted this long,
Yeah.
and he no one's taking it to Brock like how he's taking it to Brock, but
Yeah, and I mean, with comparison to the Joe match, Joe was on Lesnar, and Brock had a little offense.
and he tried to grind him down.
But
That was the thing.
when Brock hit the F5 on Joe, it was like out of nowhere, kind of.
Yeah.
And in this match, it really felt like they were building to the F5. And I think with Joe, it's like, okay, he hit an F5, you can take Joe out with one F5.
Yeah.
It's the F5.
Yeah. But
with
it's not
Braun,
believable with Braun.
it's just
especially when you have him, especially because they try and sell the German suplex so much,
Yeah.
Suplex City, bitch.
And Brock looked wore out. I don't know if that was legit or not, but he was lifting a lot of
Yeah.
weight with Braun.
Well, and the thing is especially when they try and sell the German suplex on so many other people, and then they have Strowman no sell it the first couple times he takes it, just like it's straight right back up.
Yeah.
So it's at that point where it's kind of unbelievable that one single F5 after a less than 10-minute match could do it.
Yeah, and I was read an interview earlier where even Steve Austin thought the same thing. It's like you built him up so much, just
To
having
have-
one F5 kind of,
Deflates him.
yeah. It's like you should have had like 2, 3, 4 maybe F5s before you hit that big one. And then, okay, now you finally have defeated Braun.
You slayed the monsters.
And then having him come to Raw pissed off would make a lot more sense.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're going to see Brock. I don't think we'll see him at the next pay-per-view.
No.
And so I don't know what they're going to do
He'll
with
be at
Braun.
Survivor Series, probably.
You know, Braun is kind of just left afloat now and trying to recover.
He's
this
gonna
huge-
he's gonna be the Cruiserweight champion. He's gonna beat Enzo Amore for the title.
He very well might. So that was No Mercy.
That was No Mercy.
Do you want to just keep going? This is that thing.
Now we can cut it. We can cut it. So,
All right,
so this is our review of No Mercy. It was a little bit longer than we had expected because
Definitely.
we like to go on tangents a little bit. We'll try and work on that so that we're not as
making shows while we're making.
we're not as unfocused. So
This was episode 1.
this is episode 1. It's only gonna go up from here.
Right.
It's gonna be
Unlike
like-
No Mercy,
It just started off really high.
They peak at the pre-show and then
And
they go
then-
down. Like this is our main event, and we're just gonna go up.
Yeah, we're gonna be like Neville's career instead of T.J. Perkins's. Because T.J. Perkins is like inaugural cruiserweight champion, and now a year later, where is
You
he?
gotta stop making wrestling references, or this will never end.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, because
It's-
TJ's peak was like suicide.
Anyway.
The character.
All right, so this is our review of No Mercy. We're gonna drink some water, and then we're gonna make another video
Right
on
after this, maybe.
Raw. All right, shoots.